Hi guys. Okay, so I'm here today to do Bleach chapter 585 review titled The Headless Star 4. Now, before I do get started, I do want to say that I called in my last week's chapter review of Bleach and in my Bleach discussion video that Juha Bach, he's heading towards the Soul King. And to note that the last chapter of Bleach ended off 584. It ended off on the premise where Juha Bach was saying, "Okay, sons, it's time for us to go now," hinting that they were going somewhere. So I began to realize that if they are in fact going somewhere, the only place left for them to go at this point, now that Ichigo is in Soul Society, is actually to the Royal Palace, the Soul Palace. And what do we see in this week's episode? Juha Bach says himself that that's exactly where he's going. So I called it, said it last week, and I also said it in my Bleach discussion video. And in my Bleach discussion video, I not only said or had an opinion of Juha Bach going to the Soul Palace, but I even give my reasons where in last week's chapter of Bleach, Juha Bach also says, "It is time to become one with me." Right? He said it's time to become one with me. And when he says that, there was this idea that got to my mind, and so I began to think about it, and then I made my Bleach discussion video, and that's where I talk about that opinion that I have of where he's saying that it's time to become one with me. What does that mean? Right? So I made a Bleach discussion video where I talk about that in further detail. This is just the chapter 585 review, so I'll put it up right here. You can click on it and get directed to that Bleach discussion video where I discuss exactly what Juha Bach might be talking about. It's just my opinions for the time being, so until it gets revealed or refuted, that's just what I think of this whole situation currently. So on to the Bleach chapter. Now, in this chapter of Bleach, it's a pretty, it's a pretty interesting one. This chapter starts off with Juha Bach. First time we've seen him talk in a long ass time. With Juha Bach saying to Ichigo, "I'm very grateful for what you've done." And Ichigo is like, "What?" And he says, "Because of you coming down to Soul Society now, I am able to invade the Royal Palace." And he points up. He's heading to the palace. Then he begins to explain that the clothes that Ichigo is wearing, it's made from the literal bones and hairs of the Royal Guard members, and it's called the King's Key actually. So the King's Key, back in in the previous Bleach arcs, when Aizen was looking for the King's Key to invade the Royal Palace, it's revealed now that the King's Key is actually the clothes, these clothes that Ichigo are wearing, that's the King's Key. It's made from the bones and hairs of Royal Guard members. So back in the past, the King's Key, when it was depicted, was normally depicted like this big, massive, kind of stereotypical looking key. But we see that it's something completely different, something completely unique. It's made from bones and hairs of a Royal Guard member. So he says that, and he says how because of that fact, Ichigo used it to break through the 72 barriers between the Soul Society and the Soul Palace, and it was made to shield him from the friction coming down, and it gives him good defensive abilities. He says that there's no better gear or clothes for a Shinigami than that type of clothes. Okay, interesting fact. And he says how because of that, Ichigo busting through those 72 layers, they'll be open for the next 6,000 seconds. Now, I already did the math. 6,000 seconds is about 100 minutes, which is about 1 hour and 40 minutes. Okay, so in my opinion, that's a lot of time for Yuha Bach to get going to the Royal Palace to reach up there in time. 1 hour and 40 minutes, yeah, that's a lot of time. So as soon as that gets revealed, we see Ichigo, head off straight towards Yuha Bach, going after him. Then we see the girl with the super strength, that Quincy Star Knight, she comes in, pins him down, hits him. Ichigo jumps up, then you see na 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 trying to come at him. Ichigo dodges. Then we see Colonel Sanders points his gun right at Ichigo's head and says, "You know, you're pretty sturdy to take that hit from Miss Money or something like that." I forgot the name. He shoots, Ichigo dodges at the last second, strikes with his sword, he dodges that. Then we see all of a sudden Ichigo gets held by his collar by Busby, and then we see Busby in the same mock full standing form that we saw him in when he shot down those four female Quincy Star Knights. He has it at almost point blank range, and he's saying burner finger one. Right at the last minute when he's about to do the attack, we see this whiplashing, and then boom, Busby and Ichigo gets hit. We see them get separated, and we see Renji there saying that Ichigo, you should get going. We deal with this. We deal with these guys. And he's saying that how he realizes that Ichigo does have a connection with the Queen's Boss, so he's going to leave Ichigo's job up to himself, and they will deal with these guys here. We see Nanana and Busby still try to make after Ichigo after he left off, but we see Senbon Sakura kind of enclose around them, and then right there we see Renji saying, "Oh, I don't want to repeat myself," and then we see Rukia, Renji, Byakuya, Ikaku, that other guy that he always travels with, and Hisagi. So all these guys, there's a total of six of them, while there's on the Star Knights side, the Quincy Star Knights side, there's a total of eight of them. So the Shinigami probably need two other people to jump in to help them to even out the numbers, but it seems that that would be a confrontation between the Shinigami and the Quincy Funnel, between those two groups currently. So they'll be fighting it out while Ichigo at least heads off towards Juha Bach. Now, what do I think will happen in next week's chapter of Bleach? Well, Ichigo is heading off towards Juha Bach. It's revealed that the barriers will be open for the next 1 hour 40 minutes. That's a lot of time. So we may in fact get to see a slight mini fight or a slight tussle before Juha Bach does in fact head off into the Soul Palace. And yes, I'm calling it, Juha Bach will head off into the Soul Palace. He won't be stopped. Now, when he supposedly gets to the royal palace, there will be the royal guards for him to deal with, along with the Soul King. How Juha Bach is going to deal with all of that, I have no idea. But currently, it seems to me that Ichigo heading off towards Juha Bach at this point. There's going to be a slight tussle. We'll probably get to see that begin next week, maybe between him and Ishida. Who knows? Slight tussle where Ichigo kind of gets beaten down for a bit, and then they head off up there, probably at the last second, so that it closes up behind them, and then Ichigo stuck back in Soul Society trying to get up back to the Royal Palace to deal with them. And the thing is, currently, unless Juha Bach is unless Juha Bach is planning to bring other Star Knight members with him when he invades the planet, where he invades the Royal Palace, Juha Bach and his boys will be outnumbered, right? Because there's the Royal Guard members, four of them, or five, can't exactly remember right now, but you know, when Hashwald started up that transportation light, the seal that's heading up into the sky, where he says, "Okay, let's be on our way." We see just him, Hashwald, and Ishida. He's going to need more guys than that on his side if he wants to invade the Royal Palace. Or maybe he's just powerful enough where he can deal, where the three of them alone, maybe the three of them are so powerful enough where the three of them alone can deal with all that with all the other numbers that they will be facing up there. Maybe the three of them are strong enough or good enough to deal with everybody else. Who knows? But so far, I believe it was a very good chapter of Bleach, an excellent chapter of Bleach. In fact, why? Because part of it revealed what I said would happen last week. So props to me. But yeah, it's a very good chapter of Bleach, and I liked it very much. We see the sense of danger and the tension, right, of Juha Bach's presence begin to grow that much more. We see how much of a threat he really is because, hey, guess what? He isn't just coming into Soul Society to just fight the Shinigami and defeat them. He's heading straight up to the Soul King himself. That's exactly where he's going. So, apart from that, it's an excellent chapter of Bleach, and I liked it very much. So that's it. That's my review. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Sayonara.